New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
And hello again, dear ones. Reverend Robert hanging out behind the banner here.
Rev Z right here.
Rev Christina, happy to be here, honored to be here.
Thank you. And this is New Thought Today on the New Thought Media Network. Happens every Tuesday here at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. My co-host Reverend LZ and I have some of the most amazing guests come in and share with us a conversation around what's happening in New Thought and where the New Thought movement is going. And today we have a great friend of ours and a great collaborator. I flash back to the last time the three of us all had coffee together. The conversations get pretty wild when the three of us get together, so I'm going to suggest you grab your seatbelt. The Reverend Christina Jones is with us today, so we are so grateful to have you, dear one. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, honored to hang out and see what comes out, what spirit shows up.
Exactly. Reverend Dr. Christina, there, I gave you the doctor already. Reverend Christina is the spiritual director of the Althea Center here in Denver. I'm going to read her official bio. Reverend Christina is Althea Center's spiritual director and a religious science minister, certified personal development coach, inspirational speaker, dietitian, and author. Prior to becoming Althea spiritual director, she has been active in the New Thought movement since childhood. 7 generations of powerful ancestors in her lineage have passed on metaphysical and spiritual principles from family traditions from Africa and other countries. She supports various nonprofit foundations, domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, and also supports numerous law enforcement officers in Colorado in crisis training. She celebrates life with her husband, dances and thrives in Colorado. Was that me? And again, you've got 3 folks all living within about 20 minutes of each other, so we always have a good time when we're together. Again, Dr. Christina, I'm going to keep saying doctor. Welcome to New Thought Today. And we want to start out today. Tell us a little bit, what didn't that bio say? What else do our viewers need to know about you in order to get this conversation started?
Oh, I don't know. I have a strong faith. I will say that. I've had that whole Satori moment that I have faith. No matter what's going on, Spirit's got this. No, I'll say that.
Wonderful. Great. Folks, you're welcome to chat along, chime along, and let us know you're out there as we go along today. We'll say hello to Shay. Good afternoon, Shay. Glad you're with us.
Hey, Shay.
So,
hey, Shay.
Christina, tell us a little more. Now we're going to talk about the Althea Center a little bit later. So what I really want to know, and I think we both here want to know, is share with us a little bit of your journey getting involved. Obviously, it's been a lifelong thing, but where did you come to that point of, ministry? This is the way. And we know that you have a focus ministry focused around feminine spirituality and the divine feminine. So kind of give us a synopsis of your journey, but help us understand what your current ministry with divine feminine is.
Okay. Um, I was called to ministry, or actually told to ministry from my dad, who would say, "You gotta either be a minister or a Supreme Court justice or both." Said that. Ran from it most of my adult life. Like, it can't be me. I curse, I drink, and all that. And a friend of mine's like, "You're like Moses, throwing down the freaking tablets," because I kept pushing it away, even though I was always taking spiritual classes, going to a Wayne Dyer event, a Joe Dispenza event, and everything. Got into coaching, nutrition. But as I was doing work with people, I realized the underlying issue is a lack of spiritual consciousness. No, and in all faiths and all religions. So that's part of the healing. And it was in 2000, I would say 2008. 2008. I started taking my first Science of Mind classes, and just kept going. Even though other ministers at Mile High would even say, "Ministry is yours." Michael Beckwith was at Mile High, didn't know my name, came down the steps and said, "You supposed to be doing what I'm doing," and
Mm.
still ran. But then I ran, stopped running, supported my husband telling me, kicking me in the butt, along with a lot of friends, and did it. So, and then Divine Feminine, going through ministerial school during COVID, started thinking, it's like, well, I know I'm a so-called pulpit minister, but then what's the ministry? Because everything we all know. Thank God for you, Robert, having online, because like there was something in you that saw to utilize technology, as a lot of centers, not only New Thought centers, but I mean Methodist churches, Baptist churches shutting down because no, they didn't have an online presence. So as I did a visioning with a group of people, and I saw the divine feminine rising. I mean, literally saw this energy. And it's not even like a woman's ministry, but it's a divine feminine, everyone. And in that meditation, I saw it started before birth. That, 5,000 years of a lower energy of a patriarchy that's dying off. That started dying off in the 60s and in the 70s. I mean, this is the one, it stops, it comes back up. So that in that visioning was supporting not only women, but the divine feminine and all sentient beings. Because men like you, Elzia and Robert, you guys have both been supportive of me, and you support your women and the women in your family. So that's the rise I know is here as we see everything is falling down. We're in a huge paradigm shift. And that's happened. There was, times there were pharaohs that were women, and men were supporting those women. So it's clearly time for that energy of creativity in lieu of war. That, I don't think that's me. Okay. In lieu of war, um, that's what's coming up. And we clearly see that right now on planet Earth.
Yeah, I mean the energies, if you will, of the universe are definitely changing, and we see that in every sphere of life, whether it's geological, whether it's economical, whether it's educational, whether it's political. Um, the old system is no longer supporting the people on the planet, but no longer supporting the ever transforming consciousness, and so it has to be changed. And uh, going back to a divine feminine approach to life is a natural order, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
because I would imagine in the caveman days, right? Uh, Before everybody was still in this theological mode of questioning what is and what is not, and then at some point, a mother had a baby, and the father said, "Ooh, I can't do that." Maybe they got something. I know something. What I don't know. And so this whole idea of the divine feminine and this regenerative process of life, and then for whatever reason, we got away from that. As opposed to being a shared leadership, it became a either or, and it has to be a both and so to be able to bring the divine feminine back on the stage and begin to do that dance between the masculine and feminine and come up with that higher point of divinity is what we need now, I believe.
I hadn't thought about it until you just said that, Z, but that first caveman, that's where it all starts. He got scared. He went, "Oh, sugar, I can't do that." And that's where the man got scared and decided that he had to get aggressive and stronger and oppress the women and take over, and that's where male patriarchy starts. So we can trace it all the way back. But I agree, right? We've seen the rise of the divine feminine happening, and I don't know that we've ever had a greater expression of that than this past summer and Taylor Swift. A woman is a powerhouse in entertainment. She's the biggest rock star on the planet at this point, biggest music star on the planet, bringing in more money in more places, sharing and not just making all that money, but demonstrations of sharing that money back. And now wherever she shows up, it's a media storm. I actually saw a meme this week that said, "Can the Broncos just concede to Kansas City on Thursday night and turn it into a Taylor Swift concert instead?" So that's how powerful she is. She's now in control of the NFL as well. So
well, let's look at it this way too. It wasn't just Taylor Swift; it's Beyonce too.
Yeah,
it's true. Beyonce. Let's look at Oprah. I mean, juggernauts. There's a lot that has been built upon that, and we're seeing that creation energy coming up, and there is a balance. That's the whole thing. Like, I've had people even in this movement say, "Well, why are you doing a woman's ministry?" And because you have people that they want to be called them and they. I honor that. But I still honor there's still that part of duality under the oneness of there is a patriarchy and a matriarchy. And I mean, let's think about it. When any of us get sick, at least from my perspective and all the wonderful male friends I have, and you guys are included, you will call a wife, a sister, or a cousin. What was that mixture, Mama Nate? I got this chest thing going on, or something like that, because that's normal. To do that's that healer side. I mean, Robert, that beautiful picture behind you, that's Gaia.
Yeah.
Gaia gives birth. Even from the fire, sadly, of Maui, I'm interested to see what birth is giving through the volcanoes, the earthquakes, the flooding in Libya. That's all part of the divine feminine speaking loudly and clearly. And what we see with some radical religions, the radical side, there's radicals on both sides. And what we're seeing not like everyone's like Hamas this and radical Muslim this. I'm like, hey, I know some radical people and some Christian faiths. You may not see what they do, but there's still an expression that's going on. So we're in a mass healing of that. And you're right. When you take even the money of Beyonce, you couldn't even get a Beyonce or a Taylor Swift ticket. That was insane.
Yep.
Outselling Michael Jackson, the Beatles. It's like this is something to take notice. And most of the people that are buying the tickets are what? That's women.
Yeah. Well, and I think the universe has a way of self-correcting, just like the body, which is a facsimile of that, has a way of self-healing if it's given the proper environment and the right amount of time to do that. And so we are constantly on this planet, whether it's individually or collectively, whether we're dealing with our personal Gaias or the global Gaia, we are demanding things that are not timely, that are not succinct, and definitely not in season. I mean, right now, we have fall falling in Colorado, and this weekend, Thursday, they're looking for it to be down to 32 degrees. This is not a time to put your garden out. That time has passed. You got to wait for the next cycle. And so we have to begin to live in that cycle of life, if you will, that allows us to thrive when we need to and are supposed to, and allow us to take rest and go within when we're supposed to. And we've gotten in this 24-hour news cycle and information cycle, we have just not honored the cycle of life, and we're paying the price for it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be a Tuesday without Elzia getting a gardening quote in there somewhere. No. And Christina, we do want to also hear a bit about your current work. So we've known each other for a while now and shared ideas and watched you launch your Divine Feminine ministry. And then up in the middle of all of that comes the Althea Center. And having been around the block a couple times myself, I understand how for some, it can seem to be a conflict where many of us recognize, okay, ministry takes various forms, and we're going to step into various forms of ministry. And so in the midst of launching and promoting and moving this Divine Feminine ministry forward, all of a sudden up comes an opportunity to serve and support the Althea Center. Share with our audience a little bit. What was that journey like for you?
Well, I'm still, website's almost done, divinefeminine.evolution.org. So that's in the works. Got workshops already lined up. As was the old saying, we make plans, God laughs. Well, let me tell you, I did not know February 12th is when I walked through the door in Althea and felt an energy. Didn't really pay attention. They were interviewing for a new spiritual director, but they asked me to put my hat in the ring. I'm like, what? And then the dreams came, and then the wonderful Reverend Millie, how you doing out there, Millie? Said, that's your house too. I was like, nah. And the whole week was getting that message and getting a phone call. So it's been a beautiful, I say for me, it's like a beautiful marriage. It's still growing. My first day at Althea was August 1st. Enjoying it. Althea Center is the former college of the first Divine Science Center. So divine science is the mother of religious science. Ernest Holmes was a ordained divine science minister. So he hung out with Nona Brooks. That's Nona's house. That's Melinda Kramer's house. That's Alethea Brooks' small house that they built in the 1800s and studied under Emma Curtis Hopkins. So it's like I'm going back into time as I read some of the old books that's in that building, which is, you guys have been in it. It's a library. It's a breathing archive, and it's on sacred. They honor the land, the indigenous people's land. There's portals in that building. I feel them when I'm in there. And they supported men and women. So for me now, it's like going back home. Like, it's so funny that my ministry, I got the download, Divine Feminine Evolution, with the help of people very close to me, but I got Divine Feminine, and through a visioning, and my husband got Evolution, and I keep feeling the Evolutions now. That dropped in 2021. And then I'm now the spiritual director of a Divine Science Church, started by women in the 1800s during another pandemic. I'm going, shut the front door. So, and I mean, it's a balance. And I mean, I even asked Spirit, like, is this my ego? Is this then? I'm like, nope. Even call the psychic, because I'll overanalyze. That's my old engineering brain that will pop in. And it's actually flowing perfectly. when I get out of the way. And the people there are great. The energies there are great. People on the board that have been practitioners for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's like I mean, that's awesome.
Oh
That
yeah.
yeah, they're and then when I'm reading divine science books written by Melinda Kramer, and their spiritual mind treatment was, what was it, 6 steps? But I mean, knowing that science, Emma Curtis Hopkins told her in his home the name of his book was Science of Mind. That's written there in that center. So it's like it's coming back home and bringing it up. Because the one thing I realized too, divine science started to do this. I wasn't taught divine science, I will say, through the ministerial training, because there wasn't a lot I mean, it was touched upon. But now I'm like, holy cow, people of cancers in that building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Healings happen, holding spiritual truth. So I feel like it's a coming home for everybody to say, hey, think we forgot some things like now, because they were in the mysticism, and they did it when women couldn't vote, slavery. They were trying to help the native people. They were trying to help black people. Black people weren't allowed to go in that building for a time. So I was like, 3 women coming across the country, stopped in Pueblo and then landed in Denver. It's like, holy cow. During a time of no technology, had a university. So yeah, it's cool. It's like I'm in a big museum of spirituality. That's the way it feels.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Beautiful. Love it. What would you say has been perhaps the biggest revelation, or maybe the thing you've experienced but never anticipated since stepping into this position?
Biggest revelation of how many people don't know about divine science and how divine science is the mother of religious science.
Mm,
That's been like, yeah, that is mine. It's like boom,
right.
boom. Yeah. And the fact, I will say this, because it's both one. There's some differences. There's some. I mean, but the thing of like Ernest channeling science of mind, the commonalities of believing in Christ, the Christ consciousness, going back to scripture, but also they talked about Hinduism and all the other religions. It's like, this isn't new thought. This is old.
Mm,
It's just, it became new during the transcendental movement. So I feel we're in that movement again, except we have technology now, which is awesome. It's a call of action. There's a lot of new people every week that's coming into Althea. Don't know me. They're coming in, and
mm,
they're showing up. And people ask me about divine feminine evolution, and they're traditionally from a Christian background. It's not like they're coming from a Unity church or another CSL church.
right.
They're coming from outside,
Mm,
and they're searching. That's what I'm seeing. They're searching. When I ask them what was the faith, or they didn't have a faith, or they ran from it, like say I was kind of atheist because my family, traditional hardcore, I hear this a lot, hardcore born again Christian. So I can't talk to them. I can't even say I'm gay. I can't say I'm trans because I'm not welcome. So I'm noticing people are looking for a place to feel heard and loved and feel safe, no judgment.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that's happening now, and I think the New Thought movement and all its variations, we have a moment to seize right now. We've always said it's the best kept, whatever, whatever. But you know, I think the real essence of what we bring is, I think generally in society we have gone about understanding and cultivating a ray with the divine in an incorrect manner. We've started with the religion, which is a predisposed set of rules, regulations, practices to accentuate that spiritual connection with the divine. but we miss the whole beginning, which is the theological part, which is what is this God thing? How do I talk? Where did it come from? Why don't the theology is what's missing in this day and age, because we can't give the public a mythological representation of life, because they got science now, and in some cases we can't even give them science because they done gone down the rabbit hole into quantum science. So we have to start, I believe, with this whole revamping of the study of theology, which originally the physical religion came out of, because they was asking questions and the only thing that they had was nature. And so that theological conversation began around Gaia and the stars and planting seasons, and from there they moved into a spirituality, which ultimately led to a religion. Because I practiced these certain things, I felt a stronger connection with this theological question. And so that's where I think our mission is, and all missions, if you want to be front and center of how do we begin to get people to move back into the beloved community and to work in harmony and work in line with all there is, without fighting and killing and all this other stuff that threatens the whole survival of this human race and planet if we're not careful.
Yeah, because it's going back to, some centers do going back to roots. But I'm like, when you say go back to roots, I'm not talking about, like you said, not just the book and the text. Because when the Bible was written, it was 400 years or so after Christ left the planet. And back then, most people couldn't read unless you were rich. And it was written in a totally different language. But if you go way back to the indigenous cultures, I mean, like, way, way back. Yeah, I'm talking Egypt, maybe even Atlantis or Lemuria. If you want, people want to go there. When you go back to when people were talking telepathically, which some people do, through animals, and literally paying attention to nature, like you said, planting the seeds, the comets that pass by. The when they talk about the blue Catena star, that was the Hopi talk about that. That's it. That's it, because that's being in harmony, and that's being in unification. And I agree with you, Elzia, that going going back, because your body knows.
Yeah.
Your there's a heartbeat in a tree. That,
Mm.
that that's tapping into that eternal essence. I believe there's a cure for cancer in the rainforest somewhere. I truly believe that, because you have tribes that don't have the challenges that, like America has, the top level cancer rate in the world, but we're the richest country in the world. Riddle me that. That makes no sense to me. India has the lowest. My mother left the planet, and before she left, she experienced dementia. Explain to me why India, that they said we can't drink out the water when they go there. I mean, I know there's turmeric in food, but they have the lowest, one of the lowest dementia Alzheimer rates in the world. Something's up. They are tapped into something with nature
Right.
that I'll say we in America have not tapped into yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what I feel. That there's it's just too weird that, well, okay, we're powerful and have the most money, but then we have the lowest educational rate, the highest murder rate, the highest blah 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 of all negative stuff. I want to hear some positive stuff. So yeah, then that religion, we all know, created by man as a political ploy. Everything's political, including the people that are running out of Central America. Everything is political. It's been utilized. Like my mom was, Catholic. I was baptized, christened, if you will, Catholic. And because my dad was Methodist, according to Catholic faith, even though I was born 3 years after my parents were dead back in the day, you consider illegitimate, because my dad didn't. My mother's like, you don't have to change your religion because of me. And she couldn't get communion anymore. She just like, whatever, because she was metaphysical. But I said, you see that control I know is dying, and how we Elzia, your center, CSL Denver, and New Thought Media Network, everything that we're all doing. That's what I know when people are calling me about Divine Feminine and the Althea Center. They're searching because they even know on some deep subconscious level something's up. Like something's incorrect. What they were told was manipulation and control. Like, that's not true.
Mm.
That's not true. Because when you're begging and beseeching, I hear people, like, well, we got to stop these earthquakes. I had someone tell me, I'm like, you can't stop an earthquake with prayer. Because they're praying the old way, first of all. They're begging. I say, what are you talking about? That happened before we were here. Colorado was the ocean floor. I'm pretty sure the cavemen went, what the? As the mountains were like merged.
we have gotten, and this is the unfortunate part. I think we've gotten so twisted in what prayer is that we are praying for the divine to go against its own nature, which we know is never going to happen. So as opposed to praying to put ourselves in right alignment with the divine, we are praying for the divine to break its universal laws to appease my little whatever, my little pain, my little anguish, my little ego. And the divine is saying, yeah, okay, keep doing what you're doing, but guess what? I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and you're gonna lose. If we want to put it in them terms, right? Because we understand that some of these natural disasters, floods and earthquakes and fires, they've been around before man and woman got on this planet.
Yep.
That's how this planet was cultivated, created, and is able to sustain life. So that's not going to go away. What has to happen, we have to get better at reading the signs. We have to get better at putting ourselves in right relationship with the divine so that we work, as you were saying earlier, as one thing and not these individual billion things that on occasion come together when we feel good. Okay. I'm all for feeling good, but that just ain't the case all the time. And we have to get beyond ourselves and begin to realize that life is a cycle of winter, spring, summer, and fall. And you can't skip any seasons if you want to have a full life.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, folks, if you wonder what you've stumbled in here to today, this is New Thought Today on the New Thought Media Network, and we need to take a brief break to say hello to a couple of our sponsors and let them say hello to you. However, we got a lot more coming with Reverend Christina here in the next segment. So please don't go away. Hit the like button, hit the share button. We'll be back in just a minute or so with more of New Thought Today. Please stay tuned.
You are a gift. That is the absolute truth. You are a gift, a blessing to the world, a way that the infinite love of God shines itself, shares itself, and expresses itself more fully in the world. You are a gift and a blessing. Please take that seriously. Take it as your honor. Take it as your opportunity to be a light that shines for others. Be that bright light of God's love that's the truth of who you are. And enjoy it, because you deserve it.
And we're back with more of New Thought today here on the New Thought Media Network. I'm Dr. Robert with my co-host, Reverend LZ, and our special guest, Reverend Christina Jones of the Althea Center and Divine Feminine Evolution. Excuse me, I'm going to get it right. Divine Feminine Evolution. We're having a great conversation here this afternoon. So we're grateful that you are with us. And as we always do here on the second segment of this program, we like to dig into the vision that you see, Christina, coming forward for New Thought. How does New Thought play a role in the future of humanity's evolution? What's the vision that you hold for New Thought? What do you see coming down the pike, as it were, and how New Thought is going to show up and be a beneficial presence on the planet?
First of all, I would, like I said, New Thought's not new. Because there was the whole New Age movement, which my mom was a part of. What I hold is a new energy, a new name term. I don't know what it is. It's like a new frequency to match new frequency and a coming together. And let me explain what that means. In my experience, I have seen, because people be people, there's oneness in the spiritual realm, but the human ego, as Carl Jung would say, I'm a Jungian. The human ego shows up. So I would love to see how unity, CSL, divine science, everyone actually work together instead of, I see competition, that someone in one organization is worried about, well, we're this, we're not that. You understand? All this division, like I'm Emerson, I'm not religious science. I've met people saying I'm divine science, I don't like religious science people, but I believe in oneness. Someone said that to me. I was like, oh. So and I asked Spirit to show me what needs to be healed in regard of, I say, New Thought. That's what I'm holding. So there's not so much a division that say there's a CSO minister who say, we know people have done this. They also have a unity ministerial license, and they may have also an Emerson license. Let's not there be a division. Like, people have made up stories about Althea. Oh, Althea's part of CSL. And I told them, say, no, it's not. No, it's not. And it's like, stop making up, because that forms division. I get other organizations, but that forms division. And then we turn around and talk about oneness. You can't have oneness when you could consistently say, well, why are you going to go to Unity Church? Why are you going to Emerson? How come you doing that? That's the whole ego. And how about no matter what you're a part of, let's go back to oneness. As Ernest Holmes said, if he had a choice, he probably would have been born Hindu, because Hinduism is about oneness. So I hold the vision of, let's soften the boundaries, because it's like the boundaries on planet Earth. Spirit, there is no boundary. How about let's support and not judge if someone's part of ANTN or Emerson or, CSL, and they may be something else. Michael Beckwith has agape. Let's not go into judgment, but see how we can support one and the other, no matter what I'll say metaphysical New Thought institution we are going through.
I always say, Robert, hear me say this all the time. First and foremost, there is no competition in God. You're gonna lose every time. So if you're trying to compete with the Word of God or the Spirit of God or the energy of God, however you perceive it to be transmitted, that ain't gonna happen. The other thing is, when we look at the different organizations, if you will, or the different modalities of how this information is disseminated to the world, I always use the metaphor of the body. I have a lymphatic system. I have a respiratory system. I have an elimination system. They all have their jobs to do. The elimination system does not get upset with the digestive system, or the digestive system does not get upset with the circulatory system and say, I'm not going to support you. Because if I don't, the oneness of this body will be gone. And so we have to begin to get back to that natural religion, if you will, and look at and be observant and understand how the universe works. There may be totally different systems that are self-contained, but they understand 100% that without that system or without that system, I don't exist. So we can either compete, and that normally in the human body turns out to be some kind of disease, or we can work together and they look at you biologically and say, oh, your biological age is XYZ, but you appear to be 10 years, 15 years, 20 years younger because your system is working together. And when we can do that, when we can operate from that standpoint and forget all of this other stuff, who's on the pulpit, who's running the class, who's getting the airtime. That airtime, that pulpit, all of that stuff could be snatched away in a moment.
Yep.
And then you got. So that's what I hope for the in line with what you're saying. That's what I'm hoping for in not only just in New Thought, but in all spiritual traditions, that we forget this competition and move into a true oneness and unity of God and allow it to be expressed just like a flower garden. There are many flowers. The bees don't care. They just look, I'm getting pollen. You can, wherever I see some pollen, I'm gonna get it. And that's what the people will be able to do.
Yes.
Beautiful. I love what you're saying because I feel I received an amazing ministerial education. But inherent within that education was a sense of superiority. Mm-hmm. And those others, and we would do it, we did it a lot. We talk in this movement. I was on a call today where everybody's talking about we can't other people. We can't be making other people the other people and this and that. And it's like, but we do that at the organizational level at times. We do that in our education. And I can't tell you how many times I was told, well, they're good people in that other school, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. And it's like, it's not supposed to be the same. If we
won't even say what that sounds like.
Yeah. If we were all the same, right? Life would be no fun whatsoever. And it is in our diversity, it is in our richness that we express the oneness in unique and magnificent ways. And what I've learned myself in the last few years is I was missing out on a huge experience, on a vast experience of how the divine shows up through and as other ministries, other ideas. And you said it earlier, right? It all stems from divine science to begin with. It all grew out of divine science, and everybody gave it its own little polish or its own little idea. And whether it's a 3-step prayer or a 5-step or a 6-step or a 7-step, or whether you just want to pray for a half an hour, it really is part of the one. But we want to make it wrong. We want to make our way. This is that Jungian ego again. We want to make my way the right way and the best way and the perfect way, when it is all that, but only for me. And you have to find your right and perfect way that is right and perfect for you. And that's what I love about these conversations, and the fact that you're with us here on this, Christina, because I don't think you'd end up in this conversation if you weren't already on board with that more expansive perspective of oneness versus our way is the right way.
Yep. The law is impartial. It doesn't pick. It does not care if I'm black, purple, male, female. The law is in full effect all the time, full time, in no time and no space. And that's my vision of, like you said, to get rid of the other. Because when you go to nature, just like Althea said with the bee, it does not care. So don't make things wrong, like, oh no, you need to go to this program and you need to do this. I mean, I have heard CSL practitioners say, well, unity practitioners, they don't have the education we have, blah, blah, blah. The time may be different that they spend. in their prac studies, in their, I forgot what they call themselves, compare to religious science practitioners. I agree, but we can't say another individual is more that I'm less more educated than they are. You understand?
Right.
That's the energy I've been seeing, because you still don't know that practitioner and unity might have some PhD in Hinduism and know something. So we can't just say, well, I'm this, so therefore I'm more educated than this person that went through another new thought. You don't even know that person's background.
Right.
You
I
have
th-
no idea. I come from a family of psychics and healers. My dad was a Rosicrucian. I got the books. So there are people in this movement. I'm like, where she said Rosa, what? They don't even know that. So that's what I want that to stop. I mean, Elzia, you know so much about Islam. It's amazing. You could do a PhD program on it. So that's what I hold, is to stop the other and the judgment, because people are doing it based on the last letter behind your name, that you don't know someone's this lifetime or past lifetime, their true deep metaphysical education.
yeah.
So when we come into togetherness, this whole new thought, whatever we call a new alchemy, the alchemist, whatever we call ourselves, can really rise up and come together. And it takes those barriers out. And those who will say, there are some people in my family dynamic, they are literally waiting for Jesus to come pick them up and save them.
Mm.
It's scary, because what happened, what we're seeing in the Middle East, when that physically does not happen the way they were told,
Right.
that breaks
Yeah.
my heart.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh crap. Because then the ego is going to go like, wait a minute, I was told this and that. So that's what, hate the word scare, but that's what's coming up. Scares me when people have such a strong belief in that someone else is going to save them, when we are the ones we've been waiting for. And the evolution is the revolution, and it is now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell you, that whole situation over in the Middle East right now, in Israel and Gaza. I mean, we need to pay very close attention to that, because it has the potential to ripple out beyond just the human and physical carnage, and just misappropriation of life, if you will, but it has the ability to affect everything we depend on. And so, you know, again, already people are picking sides. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the easy part, is to pick a side, right?
Yeah.
And most people pick sides based on who they think's going to win. They don't, being a Bronco fan, I can say that, but okay, I won't go there. But all seriousness, we have to begin to look for, as they say, the sweet spot. What is the crux of the matter here? Why is this age-old conflict still going? Do we even remember what it was about, that it started? And how do we save lives and come together on this idea of oneness, whether it looks differently than I expected, as you were just saying, and begin to preserve our way of life? Because, we're already talking about AI taking over. If we keep going the way we're going, we're going to give it the perfect platform to say, look, I looked at the annals of this human history, and these beings are capable of some destructive things. Maybe we should just get rid of them, and we'll be okay. And so, we have no idea what this new level of consciousness and awareness from a computer standpoint is going to do. So we need to really begin to think beyond the box and figure out how we get along in unity.
Yeah.
I think you're hitting a couple of nails on the head there, Elzia, in this one, because to the people in the Gaza Strip and other regions, the Israelis look like terrorists.
Yeah.
Yes.
And inside Israel, Hamas looks like terrorists.
Yes.
and we're not taking the time, I believe, to discern what is the higher spiritual truth.
Yes.
We have politicians blaming the president for funding Hamas when that is not the truth and that is not what is actually happening. But people don't take the time to slow down and say, wait a minute, is that really the truth? Or am I just going to believe what some talking head tells me? Or as you were saying, I'm just going to believe based on the side that I think should win or that I like a little more. And I find it very interesting how we're suddenly all in and all invested in praying for Israel and praying for the Middle East, and everybody seems to have forgotten that we do still have a war going on in the Ukraine as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw one of those quotes recently that alludes to the fact that the way to heal these things is not to pray away the condition, but to pray into our own belief in peace and our own recognition that these are all people. Now, some of them are perhaps a little misguided in how they're using the law, how they're using the universal principles. And some of them are following their leaders' dictate without question. But real people, children, people that have no political affiliation, people that are not military, that are dying. And to me, it's not dying on both sides. These are people that are part of me. This is part of the oneness that is dying for perhaps misguided and perhaps righteous beliefs in how we move our planet forward, mm-hmm. and how we move together forward as society. And I keep coming back to the fact that, man, if there's anybody that should be influencing this conversation, is it not the New Thought community?
Yep.
How do we start to truly influence these conversations and be willing to stand up and say, no, that's not what's going on here. We've got to take a deeper look and listen a little deeper and dig a little deeper before we just start throwing around platitudes and God save the Queen and every other thing.
Well, see, the ultimate challenge, no matter where you stand, is, are you willing to go through the fire, as they say?
Yeah.
Are you willing to be transformed by the fire of current events, of relationships, of economic disaster, of the condition of homelessness, the miseducation of our children? Are you ready to go through the fire and be transformed into something brand new, totally different, not what you was before, but something completely new?
Yep.
And we're too attached to this world, if you will, to even most of us to contemplate that. So we give it lip service, we give it platitudes, we pick sides, but when it's time to put the pedal to the metal, as they say, very few people are stepping up to the plate. And that's what we need to do as a new thought, new whatever. We have to do that across denominations, across spiritual teachings, across religious doctrine, and get back to the theological question of what is life, why are we here, and what the heck am I supposed to do now that I'm here to prolong it and to promote it? Not to destroy it, not divide it, not kill it, but to perpetuate it. Because we always say on this program, the only thing that's prime in this universe is life. That's it. Life is prime. Everything else is secondary. And so if you're throwing that out of balance, then, as they say on the Star Wars, boy, the Force might not be with you.
And as we like to say here in Colorado now, nobody messes with Prime.
Yeah,
messing with Prime.
That's a good one.
Folks, we're going to take another real quick break and let our sponsors and donors say a quick thank you, but please don't go away. We've got our final thoughts coming up right after this. We'll be right back. Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring. And we're back with more of New Thought today, and our special guest, Reverend Christina Jones from the Althea Center, and a resident of the universe, a power, a force in the universe. There's what I want to say. And we have just about enough time left over here today, folks, for our final thoughts. So I'm going to kick that to Rev Z and let him get us started.
Yeah, I think, given our conversation and where we're all headed, whether you're, as there's an old African saying, we may have come over here in different boats, but we're all on the same ship right now. And we all need to be rowing in the same direction if we're going to get to the destination. And so let us do that. Let us row together to get to the destination and make sure that we are prepared and have the tools to do what's necessary when we arrive at that new shore.
Beautiful. Thank you. Reverend Christina.
I got a download some time ago, and I know everyone talks about peace, but I'm going to say something. Love. Fill out a picture of the Middle East, the entire, I'm talking about Egypt, Israel, that whole area. Put your hands over it. Book, iPad, whatever. And I got this Saturday night. Send love. Touch your heart and send love. I believe in miracles. And we are to get on the same boat because we're on the same boat. There is no planet Earth. I'm not where am I going to live on Mars or Moon? Let's be here now, as Ram Dass said. And thank you, Dr. Reverend Robert. Just got to say it. And LZ, I can see you a doctor too, my friend. Let's be on this beautiful golden light of love.
Yeah.
And let go of the sides, because there's one side, because there's one God. At the end of the day, there's only one.
Yeah.
Beautiful. At the end of the day, there is only one, exactly. And at the beginning of the day, there is only one. And as we really kind of dug into this conversation, I feel really secure that the future of humanity is in good hands. It's in God's hands. And as more and more people are awakening to this truth, whether they, by whatever name they know it, and as more and more people that have already awakened to this truth come to more fully embrace oneness, not just sameness, not just, oh, those are my cousins over there and they pray a little differently, but actual the recognition that that is my brother and sister, that is my sibling, that is my lover, that is my partner. You are I and I are you, that together we're not just all on the same boat. We are, and we're building a whole new type of starship together. So I think we're in good hands. I look forward to what's coming. And Reverend Christina, the only question we have left is, will you come back again sometime?
Yes, I'd love to.
Wonderful. Well, we'll make sure we get you back in the lineup and scheduled for another visit with us. And until then, we want to say thank you to everybody that's been with us today. We love you. We appreciate you. Please share this with your family and friends. Let others know what we're doing here on the New Thought Media Network. And until next time, we want to wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.